MJ from Wreck That Margin. Today I thought I would do a video showcasing my favorite book from each genre that I typically will read from. Just a disclaimer, these are my favorite books overall from every genre. It's the books that I own, which quite honestly I don't buy all that many books. I borrow a lot of them from the library, I borrow a lot of them from friends, I have a lot of audiobooks and ebooks. So these are by no means my favorite of all time, but it'll give you a good idea of what I generally read and what you should expect from my channel. The first genre is young adult, and for the young adult choice I picked The Giver. I just love this book. It stayed with me a really long time. I've reread it like 3 times and every time I've been impacted by it, so that's why this will always have a special place in my heart. Also, signed copy. Hello. I know I didn't take very good care of it. Look, the page is all... I mean, hey, it was loved. So my pick for the favorite classic book is Alice in Wonderland. I'm gonna do a whole other review on Alice in Wonderland because there is a lot to say about this book, but of all the classics out there, of course, I pick Alice in Wonderland, the children's book, of course. For my favorite contemporary book that I own is The Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman. And throughout the whole book, he's poking fun at grown-ups for not understanding things and being too serious and not knowing what's what in life, and almost poking fun at grown-ups for not being good enough to read a children's story almost. As he's telling them a children's story, I just think it's great. I love the irony of this. I feel like this is my whole... This is my book. This is me. I love it. Neil Gaiman, thank you for writing this. The next genre is horror, and for my pick, I picked We've Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson. This book is just so creepy and mysterious, and you're not really sure what's happening or who you're supposed to be afraid of until the very end. And one of the reasons I love We've Always Lived in the Castle is because it is told through the eyes of a child, and the way that she sees the world I think is beautiful, and the way that she sees through some of the trickery and the bribery of the adults is great, and I really appreciate it. So I really love this book. So my next genre is spiritual or philosophical books, which I actually read quite a lot of. My favorite is Siddhartha by Hermann Hesse. I like this book the most because it isn't a do this, don't do that sort of book. Instead, it is a story. It is one giant moral teaching through a story, and it really gets the point across and makes it stick a lot better than if someone were to just write a book about, you know, do this and don't do that. Hermann Hesse is really good at that. He has a ton of books that I love for that reason, and you know, Siddhartha is probably one of his most famous, and I think it is famous for a reason because it's really good. My pick for science fiction is The Martian by Andy Weir. Andy this guy. He wrote The Martian. It just came out last year. The premise of the book is there's a space mission to Mars, and one of the astronauts gets stranded on Mars. Oh god, he must die. He's gonna die. What's he gonna do? He doesn't die immediately because the story's pretty long. But you would think, I mean, when I read the first paragraph, I was like, he's gonna die. I really like it a lot because of the main character, Mark. He really brings a story some life and some hope, and he's very funny and witty throughout all these horrible, dire circumstances that he faces. And I think it's very ironic. The whole book is very ironic and serious and so silly. And my pick for the children's book genre is Laura and Ulysses by Kate DiCamillo. Really, I could pick any book by Kate DiCamillo. Her writing is just glorious. Her writing is wonderful to read out loud. And Kate makes all of her characters just come to life in a way that I can do the voices with the characters. I can hear them in my head and therefore speak them to my children when I'm reading it, and it's a whole lot of fun. And honestly, if I didn't have kids, I would read this book anyways. I mean, throughout this book there are little comic strips. I mean, it's so cute because Flora loves comic books. She is like such a little like nerdy, awesome chick, and she has a friend named Ulysses who is a superhero squirrel, and the squirrel can also type poetry. That's a recipe for success. So yes, it's really cute. And again, Katie Camillo is just really good at portraying very meaningful stories with a lot of heart and soul in them, by making them very lighthearted and easy to digest. So I really love her for that, and this is her newest book, and I'm just in love with it. The final genre is graphic novels. I'm just starting to dig into this genre, but by far my favorite so far is Rat Queen. There's a lot of warrior women in this book, and they all have these really cool special skills, and they're all from little like fantasy claves, and they team up together and just be super badass and awesome. I don't know. It's pretty great. I'm gonna do a review on this in the future, a full review, so I'll tell you more about it then. I won't rave too much. I hope this gives you a pretty good idea of who I am as a reader and what I like to read. The takeaway for me doing this exercise was I realized almost all of my favorite books have something in common, which is that they're really impactful and meaningful long term for me, and they're told in a very funny, quirky, or whimsical, or childlike, or fantastical way that's easy to digest. I just think that's a recipe for success, and I really love that, and I respond well to it, so it's probably why a lot of my favorites are the way that they are. And again, disclaimer, these aren't my favorites like overall. These are the ones that I happen to have on my shelf within easy reach, and I thought they'd, as a group, describe me as a reader, and hopefully you now have a better idea of who I am as a reader. Yeah, go ahead and tell me what you think. Do you have any of the same favorites? Do you hate any of the books I mentioned? Are any of the books I mentioned like completely new to you? Or, you know, what? I don't know. Don't forget to thumbs up and subscribe. I think I'll be doing a new video every week. We're gonna see if that is feasible for me to do, but I'm gonna aim for that right now. And I think that's about it, so bye!